Leadership is one of the most misunderstood ideas in modern life. Many people believe leadership begins when someone is given authority, a title, a position, recognition from others. We imagine leaders as the loudest voices in the room, the most confident speakers, the people standing at the front while everyone else listens. But if you observe life closely, something strange begins to appear. Sometimes the person everyone turns to for guidance is not the one with the title. It might be the quiet individual who rarely raises their voice, the colleague who remains calm when everyone else becomes anxious, the friend who seems steady even when circumstances become difficult. They don't demand respect, yet somehow they receive it. And this raises an interesting question. Why do certain people command quiet authority the moment they walk into a room, even when they hold no official power? The Stoic philosophers believed the answer had nothing to do with status. To them, leadership began somewhere far more personal, inside the individual. The Stoics believed that before someone could guide others, they first had to learn how to govern themselves. A person who cannot control their impulses, emotions, and judgments cannot truly lead anyone, not even themselves. This is why some of the most influential figures in history were not the most charismatic, the most aggressive, or the most dominant. They were the most disciplined. Because leadership, from a Stoic perspective, is not something society grants you. It is something your character slowly earns. And the fascinating part is that this transformation rarely begins with extraordinary people. It begins with ordinary individuals who quietly develop extraordinary habits of mind. To understand this, we have to look at how the Stoics themselves understood power and influence. When we think of leadership today, we often think about control over others, managers controlling teams, politicians controlling decisions, influencers controlling public attention. But Stoic philosophy turned this idea upside down. For thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, the most important form of control was not external, it was internal. Marcus Aurelius, who happened to be the most powerful man in the Roman Empire, spent much of his private writings reminding himself of something simple but difficult. Control your own mind before attempting to control the world. Because the truth is, most people are ruled by things they barely notice. Their emotions, their fears, their need for approval, their reactions to criticism. A single insult can ruin their day. A moment of failure can shatter their confidence. Someone else's opinion can completely redirect their decisions. And when a person is constantly reacting to external forces, they appear unstable. People sense this instinctively. But when someone learns to regulate their reactions, something different happens. They develop a kind of quiet stability. They become the person who does not panic when plans change, the person who listens before reacting, the person who thinks clearly when everyone else is overwhelmed. And slowly, almost naturally, others begin to trust their judgment. This is the Stoic foundation of leadership. Not dominance, not charisma, but self-mastery. And what makes this philosophy powerful is that it does not require special talent or personality. It requires practice. Because leadership, from a Stoic view, is not a personality trait. It is a pattern of disciplined thinking repeated over time. Every difficult moment becomes a choice. Do you react impulsively or pause and think? Do you blame circumstances or examine your own role? Do you chase approval or follow reason? These small decisions accumulate, and over time, they shape character. The Stoics understood something that modern psychology continues to confirm.
People naturally trust those who demonstrate emotional stability, responsibility, and consistency, not occasionally, but repeatedly. Each of these principles we are about to explore addresses a very common human weakness: fear of criticism, emotional reactivity, the desire to be liked, the instinct to avoid responsibility, the tendency to panic during uncertainty. These habits quietly weaken a person's presence, but when someone begins correcting them, something remarkable happens. Their character begins to change, and with it, their influence. Everything begins with one of the most important ideas in Stoic philosophy: the difference between what you can control and what you cannot. Most people spend an extraordinary amount of energy worrying about things completely outside their control. They worry about how others perceive them. They worry about outcomes that haven't happened yet. They worry about opinions, rumors, possibilities, and imagined scenarios. This habit drains enormous mental energy, but more importantly, it creates instability. Because when your peace of mind depends on external events, you are constantly vulnerable to disappointment. Epictetus taught that the first step towards wisdom is recognizing a simple boundary. Some things belong to us: our actions, our decisions, our preparation, our responses. Everything else does not. Other people's opinions, unexpected outcomes, circumstances beyond our reach. A Stoic leader understands this distinction deeply. Imagine someone receiving harsh criticism at work. Perhaps their idea was rejected in a meeting, or their effort went unnoticed. Many people immediately become defensive. They replay the criticism in their mind for hours, wondering how others perceive them. But a Stoic response looks different. Instead of asking, "Why do they think this about me?" they ask a more useful question: "Is there something here I can improve?" If the criticism contains truth, they adjust their behavior. If it does not, they let it pass. Their focus remains on what they can control: their effort, their reasoning, their growth. And this focus creates emotional stability, which leads to something even more powerful: control over emotional reactions. Many people believe authority comes from speaking loudly, asserting dominance, or projecting confidence. But in reality, credibility is often lost not through poor decisions, but through emotional reactions. Anger during disagreement, defensiveness under criticism, anxiety when uncertainty appears. When emotions take control, judgment becomes cloudy. The Stoics were not against emotions themselves. They understood that emotions are natural, but they believed emotions should inform our thinking, not dominate it. Epictetus famously said that events themselves do not disturb us, our interpretations of them do. Consider a tense workplace conflict. Two colleagues disagree about an important decision. Voices rise, frustration builds. Most people react immediately. They interrupt, they defend themselves, they escalate attention. But occasionally, someone does something different. They pause, they listen, they respond slowly, carefully, thoughtfully. In that moment, something subtle happens. The emotional temperature of the room changes, because composure has a stabilizing effect. Over time, people begin to associate that person with clarity, and when difficult decisions arise with the future, guess who others naturally turn toward? This leads to another principle that quietly separates leaders from everyone else: responsibility. When something goes wrong, the human instinct is almost universal. Deflect, blame the circumstances, blame the system, blame the timing, blame someone else. This instinct protects the ego, but it destroys credibility. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to examine his own role in every problem before criticizing others, not because he believed he was always at fault, but because responsibility gives you power. Imagine a project that fails. One person immediately explains why the situation was unfair. Another points to the mistakes of others. But a Stoic response sounds different. I should have prepared more carefully. I underestimated the challenge. Next time, I'll adjust this approach. This mindset transforms failure into learning, and people notice. Because someone who accepts responsibility demonstrates something rare: honesty with themselves. That honesty builds trust, and trust is the real currency of leadership. Another moment where leadership quietly appears is during chaos, when plans collapse, when uncertainty spreads, when no one seems to know what to do. Many people react emotionally. They panic, they complain, they amplify the confusion.
But Stoic philosophy trained individuals for exactly these moments. The Stoics practiced something called negative visualization. They mentally rehearsed adversity before it happened, not because they were pessimists, but because preparation reduces shock. When challenges finally appear, they are not overwhelmed. They ask simple questions. What are the facts? What can be done right now? What is the next rational step? This calm thinking has a powerful effect, because panic spreads quickly, but so does clarity. Another weakness that quietly prevents people from becoming leaders is the desire for approval. Human beings naturally want to be accepted. We want others to like our decisions, respect our opinions, and support our actions. But when approval becomes the guiding force behind choices, something dangerous happens. Integrity becomes flexible. People start adjusting their behavior based on what they think others want to hear. Seneca warned about this centuries ago. He argued that the crowd often reflects confusion rather than wisdom. Yet many people still allow public opinion to dictate their direction. Think about how often decisions are shaped by fear of criticism. Someone avoids speaking honestly in a meeting. Someone hides their true opinion to avoid disagreement. Someone abandons a good idea because it might not be popular. But Stoic leaders operate differently. They measure decisions against reason and values, not popularity. This independence from approval creates a strange paradox. When someone stops chasing acceptance, they often gain deeper respect, because people instinctively trust those who cannot be easily swayed by social pressure. And finally, there is one trait that quietly strengthens every other principle: consistency. Trust is not built through occasional excellence. It is built through predictable character. Many people behave differently depending on the situation. Confident during success, discouraged during difficulty, kind when things go well, impatient when they do not. But Stoic philosophy emphasized stability. Marcus Aurelius wrote repeatedly about remaining the same person regardless of praise or criticism, the same discipline, the same fairness, the same composure, day after day. This reliability creates something powerful. People begin to know what to expect from you. They know you will respond thoughtfully. They know you will take responsibility. They know you will not panic when things go wrong. And over time, this consistency builds quiet authority, not because you demanded it, but because your character demonstrated it. When you step back and look at all of these principles together, something interesting becomes clear. Leadership rarely arrives through dramatic moments. It emerges through patterns. Patterns of calm thinking, patterns of emotional discipline, patterns of responsibility, patterns of integrity. Ordinary people who practice these habits long enough begin to stand out naturally, not because they tried to lead, but because their behavior makes others feel steady. And when uncertainty appears, people instinctively search for steadiness. This is why Stoic philosophy never treated leadership as a goal. For the Stoics, the true aim of life was virtue: to live according to reason, to act with justice, to remain disciplined in the face of difficulty.
Ironically, those who pursue these qualities often become the people others trust the most, not because they asked for influence, but because their character quietly earned it. Which means the path toward leadership is far simpler than most people believe. It begins with self-governance. The moment you choose discipline instead of impulse, responsibility instead of blame, reason instead of reaction. That moment is where leadership truly starts. And the most encouraging part of Stoic philosophy is this: you do not need permission to begin. No title, no status, no recognition. Only practice. So take a moment to reflect. Which of these principles challenges you the most? Is it emotional control? Letting go of approval? Taking responsibility when things go wrong? Wherever the struggle is, that is where the work begins. And if this philosophy resonates with you, consider continuing the journey. Explore these ideas further, apply them in daily life, and observe how your thinking slowly changes. If you found value in this reflection, support the video by liking it, sharing it with someone who might benefit from it, and subscribing for more explorations into Stoic philosophy and timeless wisdom.